You ever wonder how some companies seem to know exactly what you want, sometimes even before you do? Well, it's not magic. It's a world-class data team working behind the scenes. But how do you actually build one of those? Well, that's what we're digging into today, the blueprint for turning total data chaos into game-changing clarity. So, this is really the big question, isn't it? I mean, pretty much anyone can collect data these days, but turning that absolute fire hose of information into a real competitive edge, that takes a specific strategy. It's all about building a team that can find the signal in all that noise. So, let's take a look at how the best of the best are designed to do exactly that. You can think of the whole data process like a journey. It all starts with some pretty deep engineering skills, collecting, cleaning, and storing all that information. But it has to end with sharp business skills, actually analyzing that info to make smarter decisions. And a great data team, they're the ones who build the bridge between those two worlds. All right, so who are the actual players on this team? It's definitely not just one person wearing a bunch of hats. It's a whole crew of specialists. So let's break down the key roles and see where everyone fits in. A really powerful way to visualize this whole thing is as a pyramid. At the bottom, you have this broad, foundational engineering work that everything else is built on. As you move up, the roles get more specialized, more strategic, and the crucial part is every single layer totally depends on the one right below it. Okay, so let's start at the very bottom, the base of that pyramid. Data, infrastructure, and engineering. I mean, think of this as the absolute bedrock. If this isn't solid, nothing else you build on top of it is going to stand. After all, you can't analyze data you can't even get to reliably. And the star players down here? They're your data engineers. These folks are basically the digital world's civil engineers. They build and maintain all the data pipelines, kind of like the highways and plumbing that move information safely and efficiently from a million different sources into one central place where it can actually be used. Their entire world is about reliability, scale, and performance. Okay, so moving up a level from that foundation, we get to the core of the pyramid. This is all about analytics and business intelligence. Now that the data is all organized and accessible, this layer is all about answering one key question. What is happening in the business right now? And this is where you find a really key modern role, the analytics engineer. These people are like translators, bridging that raw technical data with real practical business questions. They don't just hand the data off, they shape it, they model it, and they create these clean, trusted data sets that make it dramatically faster for everyone else to find the insights they're looking for. All right, as we climb higher up the pyramid, the focus totally shifts from the present to the future. This is the world of data science and advanced analytics. It's not just about what happened yesterday. It's about using all that data to predict and even shape what's going to happen next. So who does this? Well, this is the domain of the data scientist. They're using things like machine learning to tackle those big predictive questions like which customers are about to leave us, or what's the best thing for us to build next. They're the ones building the models that power everything from your Netflix recommendations to complex financial forecasts. And finally, we get to the very top, the peak of the pyramid. This is all about leadership and strategy. This isn't really a technical layer, but it's the guiding force for the entire team. Its whole job is to make sure all that incredible work happening below is actually pointed in the right direction and driving real business value. Think of this person as the team's captain, the head of data, or the chief data officer. They're the ones connecting the data team's strategy to the company's bigger vision, fighting for resources, and making sure everyone treats data not as some IT function, but as a core business asset. Okay, so we've got our players, but, just like in any sport, having a team of all-stars isn't enough. You need the right formation. How you actually organize the team is just as important as who's on it. And choosing that formation really boils down to one fundamental trade-off. What do you care about more? Do you want consistency and tight control, which you get with a central team? Or do you need speed and deep business context, which you get from experts embedded in different departments? Your answer to that question points you to the right model. So this trade-off leads us to three main ways to set things up. You've got a fully centralized team, which is awesome for consistency, but man, it can become a huge bottleneck. Then you have the decentralized or embedded model, which is super fast and responsive, but you run the risk of creating data chaos and silos. And then there's the hybrid model, which tries to get the best of both worlds. But here's the thing, and this is super important. The right structure isn't a one-and-done decision. The perfect setup for a 10-person startup is absolutely the wrong one for a 10,000-person company. Your team's design can't be static. It has to evolve as your company grows. This journey usually follows a pretty predictable path. Most companies start out centralized to build that solid foundation and a single source of truth. But as they grow, that central team just can't keep up, so they're forced to decentralize to meet demand. And then finally, to get some control back without losing speed, they evolve into a mature hybrid model, which combines a central center of excellence with those embedded experts. Okay, so we've talked about all the roles, we've talked about how to organize them, but if you only remember one thing from all this, let it be this next part. A perfect org chart on a PowerPoint slide means absolutely nothing by itself. Yeah, this quote just hits the nail on the head. An optimal team structure alone is not enough. You can have all the right people in all the right boxes and the perfect model, but if you don't have the right culture and processes to back it up, that team is just not going to deliver any real impact. And these right here are the classic traps, the common ways things go wrong. The really high-performing teams, they succeed because they are relentless about avoiding these pitfalls. They don't just do work for work's sake. They have a clear strategy, they over-communicate with the rest of the business, and they always tie their work back to what actually matters. So what's the secret sauce? Well, building a truly great data team is about so much more than just a chart. It's about nurturing a culture of problem solving, guided by strong leadership that constantly connects the dots between the team's work and real business outcomes. It's not a project, it's a continuous process. And that brings us to one last question to leave you with. See, the perfect team structure is always a moving target. As your business changes, as your industry changes, your data needs are going to change too. So the real question to ask yourself is this. Your team might be built for today, but is it truly ready for tomorrow?